In what was the most moving speech today in either the House of Representatives or the Senate, Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley pleaded with her Senate colleagues to protect a woman's right to choose by voting yes to codify Roe v Wade after a leaked Supreme Court document showed 5 conservative justices were ready to roll back women's rights in this country over a half-century by stripping women of their right to an abortion. As one of the few black congresswomen, Pressley was also in a unique position to highlight the disparate oppression overturning Roe v Wade will have on black women across this nation, and used the speech to also educate the world on the white supremacist roots of the anti-abortion movement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today in solidarity with the 1 in 4 women across this country who have had an abortion and every person who will ever seek abortion care. Your neighbor, co-worker, family member, those whom you work with, and yes, those whom you worship with too. The mother of 3 working double shifts to make ends meet who just cannot manage the physical demands of another pregnancy. The student who made the decision to finish their degree and begin their family on their own terms. No shame, no stigma, no regrets. The young parents who receive the heart-wrenching news that they have miscarried and will need abortion care immediately. I rise today to proclaim, I see you, I love you, and I stand with you. Carry no shame for your health care choice. The only shame is that there are forces at work to deny you it. And while my heart is heavy, my spirit is resolved and determined. Madam Speaker, there are many who have arrived at this moment with newfound outrage at the prospect of this reversal of law. But many of us have been in the trenches of this fight for a long time, and we are not surprised. Reproductive justice organizers, Black, brown, indigenous, disabled, LGBTQ+, folks have been sounding the alarm, raising their voices, putting our bodies on the line in protest as anti-choice lawmakers across the country wage a full-fledged assault on our reproductive rights and freedom for too long. The right to control our own bodies, the right to determine our own fate, the right to decide if and when we have a child has been up for debate in the halls of power. Madam Speaker, we have been called hysterical, we have been called fearmongers, and when I talk about who will disproportionately bear the brunt of this, we have been called race baiters. This is no drill, and I take no joy in saying, I told you so. I have stood on the steps of City Hall in Boston. I have organized on the Boston Common. I've stood at the State House in Boston. And I've stood on the steps of the Supreme Court chanting, nobody's free until everybody's free. Liberate abortion. Madam Speaker, colleagues, nobody is free until everybody is free. SCOTUS has offered empty words in their leaked draft ruling and then threw up barricades and fences, knowing full well that the majority of people who call this nation home vehemently disagree. SCOTUS claims that our human rights are invalidated by their opinions of what is and isn't rooted in our nation's, quote, history and traditions. A quick history lesson. Our nation's history and traditions denied my very personhood. Our nation's history and traditions bought and sold my ancestors. Our nation's history and traditions exploited the bodies of people who look like me. Our full humanity, our bodily autonomy, and our collective liberation hang in the balance. Madam Speaker, the court fails to live up to its ideals and its purpose. The idea of equal justice under the law has been a rallying cry, but not a reality for many. The anti-abortion movement in America is rooted in organized white supremacy, and overturning Roe v. Wade would only perpetuate cycles of poverty and trap our most vulnerable in systems of oppression. None of this is abstract. There is a history of medical apartheid in this country against Black, brown, immigrant, indigenous, and disabled folks. And right now, we find ourselves living in a Black maternal morbidity crisis where Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women, to die. And we have suffered a history of forced sterilization and experimentation on Black, brown, disabled bodies without our consent. And now, the systemic prospect of folks being forced to carry a pregnancy against their will, forced birth, in the same country where we deprive families with universal health care, child care, and paid medical and family leave. Abortion bans would put legal, safe, necessary abortion care out of reach for millions, especially our most vulnerable. So Congress must act. This Democratic-controlled House, Senate, and White House, the majority, must mean more than a talking point, and we must legislate as if lives depend on it, because they do. To my Senate colleagues on the other side of this Capitol, I ask of you, no, I demand that you act. We have the voice, we have the power, we have a mandate. It is time for action. Anything else is insufficient. Abolish the Jim Crow filibuster, pass the Women's Health Protection Act, which I'm a proud original co-sponsor of, enshrine the fundamental human right to abortion care in federal law once and for all. I cannot stomach one more lecture about the preservation of civil liberties when you seek to deny me the very freedom and agency over my own body. Nobody is free until everybody is free. Thank you, and I yield.
Thanks for watching. If you were moved by that speech or learned anything from it, please like and share this video. For Reflect here on YouTube, I'm Brendan Plank, and I'll see you in the next one.